Hello and welcome to the Excel in Retirement podcast, where we help good people make wise financial decisions so that they can excel in retirement. Your guide is David Treese, a financial advisor who shares his expertise to help you achieve greater peace of mind about your finances today and have the information you need to create a plan for your future so that you can excel in retirement. I'm the host of the show, Andy Traub, and today David's going to teach you more ways to keep more of your money. That sounds pretty simple, and we like that. So let's learn those. I think we've got 4 or 5.
Yeah.
We'll be pretty quick today, but these are powerful, important, and it's going to help you keep more of your money. They might seem kind of obvious, but boy, don't we miss obvious things sometimes?
We
So
do.
David, thank you for being here. The first one is don't panic. What do you mean? How do we keep more of our money by not panicking? What does that look like?
So when we panic and we sell our investments in a down market or when things get a little bit hairy, it can really have profound effects on us. And when we're selling impulsively, what we're doing is we're really timing the market. And so when you're timing the market, not only do you have to know when to get out, you have to know when to get back in. And there's not very many people that can accurately do that. And so what we advise is that our money in the market is our red money and our market and growth money.
What this reminds me of is when it comes to not panicking, is it's when people get it right, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But how hard it is to get things right. I have a friend who, when they moved here, 10 years ago, I would live in the Nashville area. They bought a house. It doubled, maybe tripled. They sold it really at the peak, which in the last 10 years, like the peak here was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. They sold at that peak. They took all that equity, moved it to buy another piece of property so they didn't pay tax on it. And they bought property, and in the meantime, I think they were renting a house. Anyway, basically what they did is they timed, everything went perfect for them. They bought at the right time. They sold at the right time. They bought something else at the right time because all the raw land that they bought when they did buy it, it's even more expensive now. So everything went great for them. And the reason I remember that story is I've only met one person who's ever done that.
So people are just lucky.
But what I remember is like that could inspire you. Be like, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm like, no. Listen, I know hundreds of people who have sold their houses and tried to do that. I know one who timed it perfectly. So again, that's the reminder to you, like, yes, people win the lottery.
Yes.
Yes. And that's why people buy lottery tickets. But like, did you know anyone who's ever won the lottery? So it can work, but don't panic.
Yeah.
And make rash decisions. And that can go in the stock market as well as also trying to time housing and all kinds of stuff.
Make decisions based on luck. Yeah. Lottery's up pretty high right now. Did they get a winner? Have they drawn?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I force myself to not look because I can't handle the temptation. I just keep telling myself it's not going to work. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to win. Right. So here's the next one. The way of keeping more of your money is to prioritize paying off debt. I remember having this conversation with my kids once, explaining to them interest. And the reason it was hard for them is because they have this concept of money and use money to buy things. And what I had to explain to them is interest is paying money for your money.
Yes.
And they had a hard time processing. They're like, no, money buys us Arby's, and money buys us gasoline, and money buys us clothes. And I'm like, no, sometimes you have to spend money on your money. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's called interest.
Yeah.
So when you prioritize paying off debt, what does that do for your accumulation, David?
Well, it just it allows you to have more money to save. It gives you freedom of choices, like we were talking about on the last episode. It allows you to have more money for giving, for spending on your family, or just saving more money. It just really frees you up, and there's a mental toil that you don't have to labor under anymore, which is huge.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
When you go to Arby's, are you getting curly fries every time or no?
You know, what's funny, this is very recent. Last few weeks I did this because I was not happy with curly or crinkle. It was very consistent how fresh they were.
Right.
So now I just say whichever's freshest. And if they're not fresh, they put in a new one. And if they are fresh, then I say, because they'll say I like them both. But what I really don't like is bad fries. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I am paying. And then I have to go up there and say, hey, can I get some different fries? And that's fine,
You're
but then I
that
gotta
guy,
wait.
huh? You're that guy
So
that goes and asks for new
I'm
fries.
an Arby's. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Oh, for sure.
I am not
For
going to.
sure.
I am not going to Arby's fry. I'm not going to Arby's and not getting curly fries, man. It's got to happen.
Really.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
here's
I
my
mean,
other thing
that's
with Arby's. I have not paid full price for Arby's since Reagan was in
really
office.
because it
Like
just
I am all about the coupons. They send out these
coupons.
great
Okay.
coupons around here.
Yeah.
And so, we eat like kings at Arby's for like $20, two or three of my kids.
I feel like
Um,
I feel
yeah,
like the curly fries are Arby's. I don't.
they are.
I
They
can't
are. No
disconnect.
doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt. What do you want a sauce level with Arby's? Are you like a
That
Arby's
Arby's
sauce?
sauce. I love that Arby's sauce. I haven't been there
Is
in
that
so
the
long.
red one? Yeah, the red one.
It's like a reddish
I
brown.
do a mix. I do a
Okay.
little red and then a little, is it the horse or
The,
whatever that
the
stuff
white
is?
one or the
Little
white.
red, little white, and I
Yeah.
put it on there.
Huh.
I don't even know anymore. It's just automatic.
Yeah. I love
Just
some
automatic.
condiments.
All right. Well, next time we hang out,
Yeah.
Arby's for you, my friend. Curly fries on me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. I promise. All right. And I will not put them on a credit card or home equity line of
Yes.
credit. I will
Yes. Don't do that.
not
Don't
pay
do
interest on my Arby's.
that. Yeah.
That is interesting though, as we make a joke about that. But there's these payment plans that pop up when you go buy things now,
Yeah.
and you can finance that. That is a form of financing. Okay,
Right.
whatever all those companies are. I've never
Yes.
done one, but
Yep.
that is you can finance your fast food.
That's insane. That is a sad revelation. Yeah, we'd sold our house, but it was having some basic maintenance on the air conditioner a while
Yeah.
back, and this company came out to repair it, and they wanted to sell us a whole new unit. Keep in mind the house is like 7 years old at this point, 6 or 7 years old, and they started talking to us and what the payments would be. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to know what the payments are going to be. I want to know what the cost is. And it was all about the
Wow.
payments are going to be this. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Well, that's classic. That's classic automobile.
Yeah, it
Is
was
what's the
shady.
payment?
Yeah, it felt
Because
shady.
what they can do, right, is
Yeah,
okay. You want your payment to be under 500.
right.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, then that's a 72-month loan. They don't, right?
Right.
I remember when you couldn't get a 60-month loan, a
Yeah.
5-year loan.
Yeah.
It was maybe 4 at the most or 3, and now, talking about 50-year mortgages and 72-month. And it's like, yeah, your house is quote unquote affordable because your $500,000 house is going to cost you 1.8 million because you're going to
Right.
pay for it, and you'll
What
be
happened?
98 when you're done, right?
What happened with the 50-year mortgages? Is that going to happen?
I
Haven't
don't
heard
know.
any resolution
Who
there.
knows? Trump likes to throw out a lot of things.
Yes. Okay.
You know,
So they were just talking.
yeah, they're just talking.
Okay.
They're just talking.
Okay.
See where it lands.
Gotcha.
So I would not be surprised if it happened though.
Right.
Because we finance our fast food. So,
Yes.
so prioritize paying off debt means that you're not spending money on your money, and your money can accumulate versus costing you money. The next one was exercising due diligence. Where does this come up with people and money, and how do we get ourselves in trouble when it comes to not accumulating because we don't do due diligence?
Yeah, I think this is super important. The verse that comes to mind is Proverbs 27:23. Know well the conditions of your flocks and give attention to your herds. And I think it's just like knowing what's going on. Proverbs talks a lot about this. The wisdom of the prudent is to discern his way, but the folly of fools is deceiving. And so when we take time to understand things, we can make better decisions. And in our process, it's really crazy. That same guy with the air conditioning thing, he's wanting me to go into debt for who knows how long. And he was wanting to close that deal and standing in my kitchen after 30 minutes.
Wow.
And
How big of a financial decision was that? Was that a 10,000,
no, I
15,000?
think the unit should have cost less than 10,000, and it was like 17,000 for all these extra things they
Wow.
were adding in and stuff.
Sure.
It was crazy. But the point is like it always amazes me when you inquire with different companies about their services, and a lot of times these things can be big commitments. Like for example, we were debating whether to rent our old house or to sell it.
Right.
And so we had a couple property managers come out, and this is like significant to me, like this is like a big commitment to like rent out
Whether or
this
not to
house.
sell your house, yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
that's significant. Or rent it
And
out, yeah.
but these guys came out and they were like, yeah, we can do this and we'll do this and we'll get this for it and yada yada yada. And like you never heard anything else from them again. And it was like a one meeting kind of closed, like this is your time to make the decision. And like, it's just not the way I make decisions, And
Yeah.
so I normally think about things for quite a while. And so that's what we do in our process. We never ask people to make a decision based on a discovery meeting or just getting information. And then we put more details in front of a person. And then
Yeah.
normally it's 2 to 3, maybe even more meetings before we ask someone to make a decision about allowing us to help them with their life savings. And I think that is just honor, honoring somebody
Yeah.
in the
That makes
fact that,
sense.
that it allows them time to do their due diligence and to consider their flocks and their herds, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting too. It's almost like whatever the world defaults to, don't do that.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And I think about the amount of I knew a friend that was working for, I don't know which window company it was,
Yeah.
but he sold very, very, very high end windows, and those would cost $15,000-$20,000 or maybe more, and for your homes, and they had a very, very, very distinct policy of we do one visit.
That's
Our
good.
salespeople do one visit,
Yeah.
and so if you don't buy on that one visit, they don't come back. They don't try to talk you into it. Now, if you call them and say, I changed my mind, I want to buy, but they don't say, okay, no problem, I'll come back tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
just one.
That's what everybody does. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and then but that's a car. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a cheaper car, but and then you've got cars, and people are like, I want you to do this, and I'll tell you, if you want to separate yourself, don't pressure people.
Right. Right.
I don't know if that'll affect your closing rate, but there's a guy I follow on social media, and he actually just opened an auto dealership in Nashville. He's out in Utah, and it's called EV Auto, and they only sell electric cars.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I just started following this guy on social media. And then one day he's like, I'm opening a dealership in Brentwood, which is just north of me, which is super cool. Like I want to go by and meet the guy. But here's one of the things that's really cool about him. If you follow him, just look up EV Auto, okay? He does a ton of stuff on social media. It's great. But one of the things is people follow him on social media and they're like, I live in Washington State. I live in Delaware. I live in da-da-da. And they're like, he's like, well, why are you calling me? He's like, because I saw you on social media and I love the way you work. And he he never pressures people.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, if you want the car will be here or it won't be here.
Right.
But like if
Right.
you want it, great. But I'm not, you don't have to buy it today.
Yeah.
He's like, I want you to buy it today. It might be gone tomorrow. That's just the truth. But buy it or don't buy it.
Yeah.
And they're like, really? He's like, yeah. And they're on a test drive. So he's like, well, do you want me to ride with you or do you want to go by yourself? Can we go by ourselves? Yeah. Unless you want me to ride with you. I don't have like a policy. You don't have to. Some places are like, we have to have someone in the car. Well, how long can I be gone? He's like, well, we close at like 7 noon.
Yeah.
So 7 hours. You know what I mean? Like, really? Like, and that's the way you can differentiate yourself. And I think that again, like the way of God is often, very, very often, so against our human nature. And our human nature is, I have to have it now and make this big decision right now. But scripture would tell us, be thoughtful, plan, do your due diligence, be patient,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. A year ago Thanksgiving, I noticed a spot in my hairline that wasn't healing. And my mother-in-law's a nurse, so she said, you need to go to the dermatologist. And so got that scheduled. It was like January, February, went into the dermatologist, and she comes in, she looks at the spot, and I mean, it's not that big. And she's like, yeah, that's skin cancer. So your options are we could do a biopsy today, or I can just take a big gap out of it to try to make sure that I got all the cancer out. What do you want to do? And like, it's literally like a 2-minute conversation. And I'm like, okay, so right now you want to operate on me and take this huge chunk out to make sure you got all the cancer out, or I can take a little bit out and go do a biopsy, and that's my choice, and I've got to make a decision right now. And I was just like, I just need a minute. And of course, she's like talking in all this medical language that complicates the decision even more.
Wow.
And I don't know, that came to mind when you were talking about that, but yeah.
Yeah, there's moments where that's very routine for them.
Right.
But also you have to consider, and this isn't a negative towards the medical or even the car dealer person, but the person selling the car to them, it might be a $500 to maybe $1,000 decision to them because it's a sale or not a sale. And maybe that's
Right.
their commission, right?
Right.
But I do think that, think about selling a house. If your commission was, 3% on a $500,000 house, you're like, okay, well, that's several thousands of dollars.
Right.
I'm going to take my time and do some diligence on this. But if it's $500, it's like, it's a $500 decision.
Right.
You want it today or not. But that's not the case for the consumer,
No.
right? And so you have to think about this with our money is we have to be very thoughtful when decisions get to a certain amount. I know that some couples have a rule about once a dollar amount is reached, we have to make that decision together.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a little bit different in our world. When we take a client on, we're essentially taking them on for an indefinite period of time into the future. And so it makes sense for everyone to be comfortable with that too, which is a little bit different than those transactional type relationships.
Sure. Here's another, we got two more. Adopt a 10-year holding philosophy.
Yeah.
How does that equate to us keeping more of our money?
Well, I think that goes back to our 3 roles of money process. Warren Buffett taught us in his 1996 shareholders letter that if we're going to be in the stock market, we should be a long-term investor and have a 10-year outlook. And he said, if we're not going to be in the market for 10 years, we shouldn't be in it for 10 minutes. And I think this is where people hit a pitfall often in retirement because they have probably good investments, but they have no distribution plan. And so how can you be compliant with Mr. Buffett's idea of being a long-term investor and having that 10-year outlook without a distribution plan? And so we go into investments and we think, man, this is a hot buy. I want to buy this now. This is going to be good for me. But we don't think about the end. We don't plan for the end in mind. And the end is when you want to capture some of those gains and use it to supplement Social Security or pensions if you have those.
I think of the foolishness of there's a garden center here in town, kind of on a really busy corner, and it's beautiful because they always have all kinds of trees and flowers and plants and stuff like that, and it's just a nice place to kind of drive by, and it looks pretty, and and I think about it, it's the equivalent of me trying to buy a tree, and planting it, and 6 months being like, where's my oranges,
Right.
bro?
Right.
That is an unhealthy expectation,
Yep.
right? That is you are improperly using the tree.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but I know this guy, he's got a huge orange tree. Yeah, but he planted it 10 years ago.
Yes.
Right. And so you have to use and have an expectation of the thing that it's going to mature and grow. It's like saying to your, 1-year-old, why don't you run faster?
Yes.
Because they're one, man. Like, give them time.
Right.
Now, if your 10-year-old is lazy and doesn't want to run, you could say, dude, you're lazy. You're 10,
Yep.
you're 10, run,
Yeah. Yep.
because 10 years later they're capable of that. But it is interesting how, and this is the danger of social media. This is the danger of just, I know a guy who did this thing or whatever. It's day trading.
Yes.
And the percentage of people that lose, and how much they can lose.
And the stress they endure while doing it.
Right. And so it's having, again, our goal here is to help you keep more of your money and have it grow. Is you have to treat it more like you're planting a tree than you are just sort of, I think about this. Some people plant flowers and they know they're not going to last into the winter. They're not coming back. Right. There's that, and that's fine. There's a time and place for that. And then there's a time to plant a tree.
Right.
And we're saying plant some trees.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
The last one is engage in proactive tax planning, which sounds uber boring, but it's proactive tax planning is to think about and think through and consider, hey, how can I think about something that I usually don't want to think about in order to have a positive experience?
Right.
So put some language to that.
I mean, we want to be proactive in our approach because if we're not, like we've said before, the government has a plan for us, and our plan that the government has isn't always the best plan. And so what we can do is have diversity of how we're invested. We would not put all of our life savings typically in one individual stock, and we would want diversity so that if it comes out that the CEO is a dirty, rotten guy, that and the stock goes down, right, bum, whatever, and it goes down. So the same applies to our diversity of how our money's taxed. We have the taxable money. Taxable money is money that has already been through the tax filter, and then just any gains are taxed. And then you have tax-free money, which you paid money going in, you paid the tax going in, but your gains are tax-free. And then you have tax-deferred, where you've punted and you haven't paid any taxes on it, but you'll eventually pay taxes on it in retirement, or if you defer it as long as you can into your 70s. And so if we have all of our money in one of those categories, it's probably, it may not be the best thing. So if we had money in all of those different categories, it could help us potentially. And having tax-free money obviously is the most beneficial, because we do not ever have to pay taxes on that money again, which with our economic uncertainty and the political uncertainty we have in our country today, I think that's huge. And we have to remember that the government doesn't create any widgets. They don't produce anything. And so the only way that they raise money is from taking it from you and me. And so, and that's in the form of taxation. And so if we have tax deferred money, we're inherently in a more vulnerable situation.
Yeah. I think one of the dangers or the concerns that I have for people that are, I guess, probably my age, I just turned 48, maybe a little older than me, is people my age have never experienced really high interest rates. My parents had, 15, 18% interest rates on houses, on mortgages.
Wild.
And that was like normal, right? Just like people freak out that interest rates are 7%. It's like, gang, that's not bad when they were 15 or whatever it might be, right? Okay, now compared to the 2 and 3 that we had. So it's the challenge of, what was your reality about interest rates? And because the people are going to struggle with being really worried about taxes as they should be, because they haven't experienced really what interest rates could be or what taxation could be.
Yes.
So the problem is you when you haven't been through it and you haven't learned from it, you don't have the urgency around it.
Right. It's a great point. It's a great point.
So it's saying, it's like, I remember 9/11.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were on 9/11?
I remember exactly where I was at.
Okay. My kids don't. They weren't born.
Right.
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 And so my kids have never, or people who lived through Pearl Harbor, right? Not just there, but being in America during that time, right? Of our America was attacked. And same thing with 9/11. My point is, people often don't have the urgency or fear about that they probably should, the healthy fear about national security or, terrorism or whatever, because they've never experienced it.
Right.
I have. You have.
Yep.
People who experienced Pearl Harbor have.
Yes.
Right. And so that's one of the dangers, is we get sort of complacent, because it's like, I'm not going to really worry about my taxes because, I guess I'll just pay them later. Okay, but you've never paid the taxes that my parents paid,
right,
or the interest rates, right? So this is where people don't have urgency.
Yeah.
And the wrong time to have urgency is when you have to have it.
Right.
Right. So I would just encourage people, maybe this is the least exciting of the ones of ways to keep your money, but proactive tax planning is simply saying, I want to have options later.
And
I want to have options for my
people, recently 401k, Roth 401ks have come out. So a lot of people now have access in their 401k plans at their work to use a Roth. And it doesn't help us today with the tax deferral, but it can help us in the future with having tax-free money. So if you're still working, you might want to ask your HR person or the custodian that holds your 401k money if there's an option now for a Roth 401k.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope, friends, that this has been helpful to you. And again, reach out to David. His email and contact information is in the show notes. And if you feel like it's not growing, if you feel like, gosh, I'm gaining and then it's going away, or I'm making money, but I just don't see the accumulation that I want to see. It reminds me of this guy, actually, and it's funny the sort of trails that YouTube can pull you into. I had to stop watching him because I was like, why am I watching this? But it just pulled me into this guy, and his job was to find leaks in pools.
Oh, that's so crazy, Andy. We got this pool and we keep adding water to it. Like, we just bought this house in September.
It's got a pool.
And I was talking to my wife that we put water in it last week, and it's like down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this thing losing water? Like,
so this guy, he goes out and he goes to hotels. He doesn't actually do like residential very much, but he does a lot of hotels. He'll do fountains, and he's somewhere else he's not in America because it's always in liters or whatever, and he always gives the number, and I don't really know how bad that is because I don't translate it to gallons. But let's just say it's losing 1,000 gallons a day
Yeah.
because it's some huge water park or whatever. But he goes under the water, and he uses this little this like liquid, and he'll put it towards next to things, and it'll draw in. A lot of times it's light fixtures, like lights underwater, and there's a leak through that light fixture, right? But his thing is, they're like, all we know is we're losing water. That's all we know, and it could be 1,000 different things. And he'll go in there and he'll diagnose it, and he'll save them hundreds of thousands of dollars in water.
Interesting.
Because he's the guy that says, I found the leak.
Yeah.
And I think about, that's kind of what you do.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, listen, all you know is you look at the balance and it's down.
Right.
Right? Or you look, like, I keep adding, it seems like it should be growing more. Right? And David's like the guy that goes in and says, let me diagnose where the leak is. Let's plug the leak, and then let's figure out how to add more.
Yep.
Right? Because it's foolishness to go, I'm just going to keep adding water.
Right.
Right? It's wasteful and expensive, and it takes time and energy and emotion. So I want to encourage you to reach out to David so that he can help you find the leaks, plug them. Or if you feel like I'm not leaking that much, or I'm not growing as much as I feel like I should, then David can help you navigate your options. David can never guarantee growth. That's not possible. That's not advisable. That's not moral. But you can say, hey, I want to not pay more than I need to, and be proactive in my planning. So reach out to David. He'll help you with those things. David, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks.
Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Clients excel in Creative One Wealth or unaffiliated entities. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by any government agency and do not provide tax or legal advice. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss. Licensed insurance professional. Insurance and annuity products are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Investment advisory services are provided in accordance with a fiduciary duty of care and loyalty that includes putting your interests first and disclosing conflicts. Insurance services have a best interest standard, which requires recommendations to be in your best interest. Advisors may receive commission for the sale of insurance and annuity products.